Hello my friend Zhou to you. When it comes to dangerous bandits, we often think of the Belizer Kid in the American West, or Chelsea James, the leader of the gang, James Changer. But if you look at the level of psychological fear for people, there's a bandit in China that's definitely at the top of the list. And today we're going to learn about one guy has brought so many horrors. In Guizhou, he's called the Jungle Man. And before we start letting YouTube better rate videos, I look forward to your support by liking the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. In Ainan district of Guizhou the name Zhou Erquan has long been a terrifying obsession for people. He kills people via looting, forced not from any evil behavior tricks. And it's even more repulsive in the times he's violated women. They forced the victim's family to stand outside the door. Some people can't stand this shame. He committed suicide not long after. Throughout the years, he's committed more than 100 crimes in Guizhou's Yunnan province. Each one led to what? The death of 12 people seriously injured and made hundreds of women sexual victims. The locals live in fear. Even the most notorious criminals in the area. I also get nervous when I hear the name. The police have made many arrests, but they're always taking advantage of their terrain to escape easily. It's more scary. Anyone who dares to give information about him to the police suffered brutal revenge. This making the investigation and arrest very difficult. And they've been living outside the law for 15 years. So what makes a devil like that? Did he finally pay the price? The dark past. Zhou Erquan was born in a ripe 60-year-old village, Ainan district, Guizhou province. He's been a thug since he was a kid. They often fight. As we grow up, the behavior of the whole becomes more serious to the collective attacks. He was repeatedly arrested by the police. Every time I get out of prison, not only did he not repent, but he became cruel. He eventually killed someone. Although this should have been sentenced to death, but he's only been sentenced to life in prison. But for one who is not afraid of heaven, who is not afraid of the earth, you have to spend your whole life in prison. It's unacceptable. He began to plan his escape. To take advantage of their intrepid and terrain savvy, they all escaped successfully in one-time outdoor labor. Life in the forest. After escaping they hide prison in a deep forest in the middle of nowhere. It's in the center of the Omong Plateau. Has an average altitude of over 2,200 meters. With forested terrain, cave, the ravines intertwined, making it extremely difficult to chase. The cost of living here is very low, so many criminals are hiding. I used to choose this place as a refuge. For fear of uncontrollable conflict, the police did not dare to conduct a large-scale investigation by mastering the terrain as a fish meets water. During the day he hides in forests or caves, and at night they come down from the mountains and plunder villages. He knew that if he was caught, he would not escape the death penalty. Psychologically, there is nothing to lose. It's getting reckless and bold. Usually the robbers avoid doing it, harm the locals where they hide. But the whole thing is the opposite. He mainly attacked people in the area, even close to where he lives. Before the crime, all declared, anyone who dares to resist will cost the lives of the entire family. With a height of more than 8 meters, tall, face full of hair, the same thing is that every time you commit a crime, including musketeers, explosive milling cutter and pig scalpel, he is the embodiment of terror. In the robberies, if the victim has no money, they will kidnap children to force their families. If they still don't redeem, he then sold the children to traffickers, from which to make huge amounts of money. In addition to robbery, women are routinely raped. The most unbearable thing is, during the implementation he forced the victim's family to stand outside the door. There was once they broke into the house of a villager named Duong. He dragged Yong out of bed and made him sit at the door. He raped Yong's wife that night. After doing the VI, he lay there sleeping until morning. He did not dare to protect his wife. They sit outside the door shivering without a word. But it hasn't stopped. The next morning, he raped Yong's teenage daughter. Before leaving, he even beat Yong for not being serious. Not long after, Yong committed suicide due to suffering. In fact, it's not just Yong's family that is the victim. He raped nearly 100 women, mostly in front of their families. But for fear of his cruelty, almost no one dares to protest or report the police. If someone dares to resist, they're all ready to kill. One night, they went to Loquach village to rape Hun's wife. He was afraid to watch his wife being humiliated, But what Hung did not expect was that after performing
I think the
girl is very beautiful. I want to take you back. The wife was horrified when she heard crying, please don't want to leave. Hung and his two sons also knelt and prayed for forgiveness. However, this did not shake the devil. On the contrary, it makes him angry. He pulled out a knife and killed Hung on the spot. He then killed both sons in turn. When the wife saw her husband killed, she rushed to fight back, but eventually lost his life. When the tragedy happened, the camp was a small village. Although some people heard the noise, no one dared to go out. After killing the entire family, he left. However, when he was about to leave the village, a local blocked the road. This man lives a long way from Hung's house. When I heard the cry for help, when I saw that he dared to intervene, I pulled out a knife. Make me fall in place. Less than 3 months later, all the way back to the camp to target one of their families. It's only about 50 meters from Hung's house. After raping the female host, he wanted to take you away, but you resisted. They didn't hesitate to kill their entire family. After 2 massacres, the rest of the families in the village fled in panic, turning the camp into a deserted village. All of the above, it's just a small part of the countless crimes that have been committed. Of the hundreds of crimes he's committed, every case makes people shiver. It's not just the locals, but even the most notorious criminals also stay away from him. The devil is head. Ainin district is a hidden place. More than 700 fugitives are on the run, and there's almost no easy AI to deal with. Most of them are robber killers. He committed many serious crimes. Of course, when so many criminals congregate, conflict is hard to avoid. They often fight over territory. They even rob each other. The weak are exploited by the stronger, even forced to be junior. At first the criminals were here. I just think he's a bully. They're trying to deal with him. I didn't expect them to be defeated so quickly. The first to dare to face it all was a notorious robber from the west. Name is Guizhou. When you see all the chaos in the city, Guizhou felt humiliated and decided to expel all. That day when they all left the house, bypass the road and swing the knife, with a grim face screaming. When he was in elementary school, he dared to cut people. How dare you come here and mess up? However, it is not threatened at all. He didn't say a word directly, brandishing a long knife. Guizhou is a notorious robber, but he's actually a coward. They usually only bully the weak. When you really want to kill people, immediately scared, he turned and ran away. They didn't kill him for more than 15 minutes. Aware of the critical situation, Guizhou dropped the knife and knelt down to pray for his life. Even so, they directly cut it into pieces. After this incident, people who know the news don't dare look down on him especially anymore. Those who see the whole thing with their own eyes. I went to another place to steal. It's owned by a rogue gang from the northeast, including 3 people. I see an intruder. They're armed with 3-pronged rifles and axes. As usual, 1 to 3 more. The enemy has weapons, should have all retreated. But he's a man who doesn't care to die. He took a bag of explosives from behind. Use a lighter to ignite. They're just going to cut some threats, but I didn't expect a counterattack. When they saw the package burning, they panicked and ran away and calmly extinguished the detonator, then shoot a guy with a musket. 2 others saw their accomplices immediately ran away and did not dare to return. After this incident, the brutal reputation of the whole increasingly wide. All the people who are hiding in this area are terrified. When you see everything outside, those who used to make the wind rain here also have to get all self-involved without daring to intervene. Since then, he's become the king of demons. He's getting more and more unruly when he acts. I go out at night and see ghosts. In one case, someone cut off a finger. That day, they all broke into a family that had just moved from Guangxi. When he entered the house, he saw only a woman and a child. They're throwing muskets and explosives. He came in with a knife to force the woman into submission. I can't believe this person is so strong. I have never heard of the whole name, so there's no fear. They directly fight with him. Her 11-year-old son found her so brave. He also hit his head with a chair. It made him stunned. I can't believe their mother would dare to resist. At this time the husband came home. I saw my wife attacked. He didn't hesitate to take the knife and slash it. All of a sudden, no one has ever dared to fight him. Even if there are 10 people in the house, you can only kneel down. There is no time to decline. I was in a hurry to fight back. But while careless, he was cut off half his index finger by his husband, screaming painfully, falling the knife to the ground. The woman saw that and slashed the axe towards his neck. If they're absolutely certain to lose their lives, he hurried to avoid, but the woman's slash slipped over her shoulder. Panicked and rushed out. When running through the yard, he picked up the gun in the dynamite bag and quickly fled into the forest. After this event, the court began to have a psychological ghost nearby that did not dare to return. Year 1992. Police. It's on the list of most wanted targets. They've mobilized police forces in the area, special gender, together with neighboring areas as 6 water to conduct an arrest. However, they're all locals and was familiar with the forested terrain. He took advantage of this to escape from the siege, make it difficult to find. With the investigation, the difficulty is not just not finding the hole, it's that there's no AI to provide a clue. Because people who have previously provided information to the police by him. In May of a right 92, a man named Deng in the village escaped, met the police. When you go out, he was simply greeting. However, a few days later, and his 8-year-old son were murdered in their home. Since then, no one dared to go near the police. The team is involved. For more than 7 years, the police have been unable to arrest them. Year 1999, he's still free outside the law. And all this time, they killed 12 people and injured 24, raped nearly 100 women, kidnapped 10 children. The criminal act of the whole let the people in the neighborhood, always living in fear. Under pressure from public opinion, the police formed a task force to focus on catching the whole thing. The team met with the families of the victims to collect 10 pieces of information. No one dared to open their mouth. The police turned their investigation to the entire family. After a few days, the police found out he had a distant relative. There's been a deep conflict between the two of you. In the previous conflict, I almost killed this relative. After many attempts, he was persuaded by the police and revealed. All may be hiding in the bordering area between Ainin district and Springway City province, near a forest. Police tracking and found a cottage in the village of Jiasun, Longdam Commune, where a person of identical appearance resides. 8/10 years a 999 fully armed police wear bulletproof armor weighing more than 20 kilograms, wearing ambush helmets on the roads that they used to go. After a few hours of waiting, they finally saw his shadow. He was taken advantage of when he did not prevent the police from arresting him. They are all very vigilant. When he heard the sound, he immediately fired 2 shots and plunged into the forest. But the police are prepared. They immediately pursued and closed the circle. The two sides struggled for nearly 40 minutes. And finally, after almost 15 the criminal was also arrested by the police. October 2nd, 2002, he was sentenced to death for murder and rape, robbery of property, kidnapping women and children, and other crimes. Since then, the devil has plagued countless people and finally get the punishment you deserve. In this case we can, to see a person who had an unruly childhood. I often have a lot of conflict and lack of direction. Rebellious acts from a young age, if it's not fixed in time, can become the foundation for a dark past. When negative experiences pile up, their psychology and lifestyle easily go into the leading to acts of recklessness and even brutality. If there is no interest from the family, society, or opportunity for change, these people can be dangerous. Disaster for yourself and the community. The story of the wrong life. It reminds us of our responsibility in education and support young people to reduce to the lowest unfortunate consequences for society in the future. In the 70s of the last century, there's been a mass rape case in Beijing. It's terrible. There's information that this guy is responsible specializing in rape of women robbing property. He's hiding in places like the ocean. Thongchoat. Cause up to 380 cases. The police have mobilized a large amount of resources. For 15 days I couldn't catch him. Pervert. Only if he ends up in the net himself. New case solved. And the incredible thing is, 380 rapes were committed by the same person. This person is the main character of this video, Li Baocheng. Li Baothan was born in the year in the village of Xianlin, near the Beijing Bridge. He's about 6 feet tall, lean, black. Looks like he's having a hard time finding a partner, but at almost 28 years old, I think he found his half. He thought a happy life would come when he had a wife. I can't believe that your married life doesn't fit. Because of his age, his needs are high. While his wife regularly works at night, so the couple often quarrel. After every fight, he didn't dare to do anything. The last wife, he could only wander at night to quench his thirst. One night in July 1972, he said he couldn't sleep walking to a village. Because of the hot summer, many people don't close. He broke into a house and raped a woman. After the incident, the victim warned, "I was too scared and it was dark." You can't describe the attacker. The police were unable to conduct a search. The case is stalled. Because you're not getting caught, you're experiencing incredible stimulation. The more reason can't be stopped. He continues to commit numerous other crimes in the area near the bridge. Every time he goes out, he calls himself a scoundrel. So, this series of cases is known as the double-headed gangster case. The appearance of the city, it scares the people around. To catch this guy, about 300 troops monitoring the areas where security might appear. On the first day of operation, he was almost arrested. After making the case, the police say they can't escape hiding in the victim's house. Until the next day when the soldiers left out of the haystack and came back home. Maybe after this siege he should have been more discreet, but AI suspected that he was not only afraid, but also more reckless. He then continued to hide in areas like the dynasties. Zhou agreed and successively carried out 10 cases. At that time, Beijing's outer suburbs are mostly have their own homes far apart, so even though calling for help is hard to hear. Moreover, the houses here have a characteristic. The bottom is glass. In addition, the residents here also have no habit of hanging, door lock, so it's easy to see the situation inside. After watching him, it didn't take much to get in. There were many young people in the working village in suburban factories, so the house will usually only have women in the children. Create favorable conditions for justifying the commission of a crime. Normally, criminals will often commit crimes according to certain rules. But the city is completely improvisational. Maybe he did several at the same time. They may not show up for 10 days and a half a month. Sometimes, he attacks the same victim repeatedly. The motive may be related to an argument with his wife. After a fight, he often goes out to find someone else. And when you get back, if your wife's still angry, you keep arguing. He continues to do harm. Once after the crime was committed, he saw it in the house. He had nothing of value, so he stole 50 pounds of rice. But the strength of a sow can carry 50 pounds away, especially through the rugged countryside. The police estimated that he could only move around 3 kilometers around, but I can't find it forever. The house of Li Bao, at least 10 kilometers from the crime scene. Even a tall, muscular man, it's hard to carry 50 pounds of rice that far. He is a small man like him. Do that. The police said the perpetrator could not be a suspect, so remove him from the list. During this time period, the police also encountered the city many times. One day almost caught his shadow. Unfortunately, this time he escaped. One night, for unknown reasons, after talking to my wife, he said he was wandering to a village. He snuck into a house with a woman. Applying the old trick of sneaking into the room from the west. Take off your clothes, put on a veil and rush into the east room. But we didn't get to the east room this time. The owner heard the noise. She got up and picked up a wooden stick, grow up in the house and block my door. Right now I say, the city also heard the noise inside. Step outside. He didn't try to open the door. In his anger, he began to threaten. Girl, you don't give me today, I'll be back tomorrow night. I can't believe I can't do anything about you. In the end, he didn't enter, he just left. The next morning the police received a report, even though the police think the possibility of robbers passing but because he doesn't follow the rules, so they decided to focus on tracking and don't give up the chance. That night, the police sent a beautiful female police officer to pretend to be the hostess. Outside the store, 10 cops are hiding out ready to arrest this guy. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the scoundrel arrived as scheduled. The police are all excited, but when they're about to take action to arrest him, something unexpected has happened. When the city comes to the door and ran frantically outside. The police saw that and immediately chased him. But the city is running too fast. The police did not respond and could not arrest him. These 7 failures make the police blame themselves. They wonder how close they are to finding out. If not, why did you run away? The police began to investigate and quickly found the cause. Turns out the problem is the policewoman. You're bored in the house, should sneak a cigarette to stay awake, but did not expect light from the cigarette end make the scoundrel who was about to break in wary. He knew the woman he was going to attack not smoking, so he immediately recognized the person who was smoking. Someone else. That's why I ran away. The city's reaction was obviously very good. But at the same time, some of the police have raised new suspicions. There's a mole in the line of 5 cops. If not, he could easily escape. This suspicion is not unreasonable. Except for this, the city has never been trapped. This strange thing went on and on. In the year 1974, the scoundrel said the city would not stop working. Finally, the police decided to use the simplest method, is to wait for them to see the villagers that they've announced about the ambush arrangement. The scoundrel certainly didn't come. If information about the ambush arrangement to internal police, then maybe the scoundrel won't get the information. In one action, the police did not notify the officers and villagers in advance in the village. One night the scout met the ruffian. I can't believe he's as fast as the wind. A police officer intended to draw down, but unfortunately you slipped and his leg was injured on the spot. I can only watch him disappear. The time after that, many other police officers also met the ruffian. But I couldn't catch him every time because I was running too fast, so the police gave him the nickname Flying Feet. Couldn't catch up with the police and looked the other way. They burrowed to business dogs. I thought it would be easy to catch him this time. The results made everyone 7. One more time, when the police and the 2 dogs came face to face, my feet can fly. He's hiding along a small path in the field. The police decided to release the dog, even though cities are called flying legs. But he can't run faster than a dog. He was soon overtaken by dogs, and this time it was difficult to escape. As soon as the dog is about to bite him, they suddenly stop and move back. This is so weird. Maybe this guy killed a dog. That's why they're so afraid of him. The police started investigating the dog owners. There are even people who open dog meat shops. But as a result, there's no eye involved. After the dog chase failed, the police are thinking of new methods. Follow the footprints. This method is based on traces to identify some information about the depth of the footprint to infer weight, or the center position of the foot to determine their age. The accuracy of this method was very high at the time. The police believe that this technique can be applied to the case of Flying Feet because no matter how fast he runs, he'll leave a footprint. On a winter's night 976, the scoundrel told the city to strike again. On the way home, he suddenly met the police in an ambush. He turned around and ran away, but the police still didn't chase. There was snow the day before, so the city left footprints in the snow. The police can easily determine the height, his weight from the footprints, but did not expect has developed a very sophisticated evasive ability. After years of dealing, as we approached the door, he realized that he had left clear footprints. To fool the police, he started walking around in the messy snow. Sometimes you go straight and sometimes you go sideways. I jump left and right. Eventually his footprints made it impossible for the police to trace him. As the police followed the trail to where the suspect was hiding, they found out that's the reason, who they'd suspected before. Even though he's excluded from the possibility of murder, the police recorded his voice. Then they identify the victim, but as a result, no one recognized him. This is really problematic. People in veterinary medicine know during the treatment of animals to calm their psyche. Some veterinarians mimic their calls to communicate and justify using this very method. The voice in the recording was deliberately changed so no one recognized it. That's why dogs can't get close. It's also because the city carries drugs for animals. It's like kids are scared to see you. Doctor in blue and white. What about working at Zhou? Many times the city was able to escape from police pursuit. The reason is simple. He knows the situation in the villages. And during the practice, the villagers often gave him some information about the police ambush layout. So it's easy to collect. 10 get information about police actions. Besides, he's very fast. This helped him escape for more than 15 years. Over the years, he has committed hundreds of crimes. The older he gets, the more reckless he is. As long as it's dark, the city goes out to commit crimes. But the scoundrel couldn't believe he had an accident. A day of the year 982, they stole 90 yuan from a bus. He took the money out, just in time to meet a veteran. He's going to the cooperative to buy drugs VAS together. And at that moment, a woman suddenly appeared, yelled he stole my money. Heard that, the veteran panicked and immediately ran. So you to start a 10-kilometer chase. I am confident that I am still fast enough, but he doesn't know. This veteran once ran a marathon and the running champion. The results are not difficult to predict. The veteran succeeded in catching up to him and knocked him out with a brick. After being arrested, the city went more than 20 days without AI visiting, although arrested for robbery. But he's got over 300 cases in him. From the beginning, I was worried. I think the police have discovered something. To find out what evidence the police have. It's a stupid idea. He pleaded guilty to another theft, in the hope of throwing stones. I can't believe this action causes the city to push itself into a dead end. Because the person handling his case, it's the police officer in charge, old ruffian Song Ki. When you hear about the theft, the policeman suddenly lit up his eyes. This case has enough evidence to do with him. Now plead guilty in this case. This proves that he's the scoundrel the police have been looking for the last 15 years. Half an hour later, 10 police cars arrived. He was surprised and fainted. But this can't hide the truth. He's the scoundrel that the police have been searching for 10 years. 2 days, 7 months. Years, a mature 82. He was sent to court to receive the death penalty. This perverted robber committed 380 murders in 15 years. How many women are psychologically obsessed? They end up with the proper punishment. Fortunately, none of the victims lost their lives. However, the psychological pain will probably remain with them every time they think about it. He's actually a very perverted rapist. Theft of more than 380 There are cases. Unimaginable numbers. Many say the wife. It doesn't satisfy him in bed. According to me, this guy, maybe even with 20 wives, he's still perverted. There is a saying that gypsy is easy to change. Honest people have. You will be honest in any situation and vice versa.